Well-managed cables not only make your setup look great, but can also help with productivity. I purchased 5 highly rated cable management products on Amazon. Let's see if the products I chose actually live up to their positive reviews. The Pamo under-desk trays rank close to the top of my list of best cable management products on Amazon. The Pamo trays typically come in black, silver, or white, with the option of purchasing a set of 2 or 3 17-inch trays. Keep in mind with all these Amazon products, the prices are constantly changing, and options may vary as the products come in and out of stock. Depending on your selection, you'll get coverage of either 34 or 51 inches, and potentially even more length if you choose to space out where you install these trays on your desk. With my human scale monitor arm offset to one side, I chose to mount the trays directly in line with each other, centered on the desk. If I had a monitor mount centered on the desk, they could have easily been mounted one on each side. Installing the trays with the provided screws was very simple. Pamo designed the product to have a large enough opening in the tray for a drill or screwdriver to fit through. You have the ability to either mount the trays opening to the front or back side of the desk. I chose to have them opening to the back side, knowing that I could easily slide my desk out to access the cables. For my home setup, I always have my cable products open to the front or underside of my desk because it's too difficult to move and get behind my large desk. The trays are rigid enough to hold as much weight as you would need to put in them, but also have a little flex in case you need to bend them open to fit something inside. I found the large amount of openings to be both a positive and a negative. The positive is that you can easily route cables into the tray from many different locations. You can also use the cutouts to strap down or wedge cables for a tighter setup. The negative is that it's not as clean of a look compared to other products that give you a little bit more of a solid surface to hide your cables behind. I decided it was finally time to test out a cable box that sat on the floor rather than attached to my desk. I bought Cable Garden's set of 3 boxes. Typically, I like to have my power strip and all cables secured to the bottom of my desk, but I understand this isn't practical in all situations. The last thing you want on the floor is a pile of cables, and you should never try stuffing them into a cardboard box. Brands like Cable Garden have made solutions that can fit a full power strip and a good pile of cables inside, with openings for cables to pass through and allow heat to exit. The Cable Garden boxes are sturdy and snap together tight, almost too tight in fact, making it a little tricky to get them back open. The faux wood look on top is very fake to me and quite orange, which leads me to recommend another product. But first, let's take a look at how this style of box functions. Before cables will make it down to the floor and into the box, some cable management is required under the desk. I routed all my cables to one spot on the back of the desk, and from there used an AlexTech cable snake to direct them down to the floor. The large box fit everything with no issue and ended up looking pretty clean. Cable Garden includes some of the necessary cable clips and ties to route the cables, but a disadvantage of this product was the extra items still needed to make it work. It was also pretty time-consuming to tidy up all the cables at the desk level. If you want an all-black option, I recommend the large-size D-line cable management box. The D-line is almost identical in size to the largest Cable Garden box, with the main difference being more rounded corners. The D-line product has more openings for cables to pass through and has venting on top of the lid. You only get one box versus the set of 3 from Cable Garden, but my setup only required one, so that was no issue. My next product, the Geek Cable Raceway Kit, is for those who 1. Want a super clean looking setup, and 2. Don't want to change their setup too often. If that describes you, then you'll love these cable raceways. I purchased a similar raceway several months ago for a $50 cable management fix video, and I was very surprised how well it worked. That opened the door for me to test out similar products. With this specific kit from Geek, you will receive 9 raceways and a small selection of pieces to help form clean angles. I purchased the black kit at the time, not knowing which desk I would use these on. Turns out the white option would have been even better to pair with my white surface. To start off, I attached my power strip to the bottom of the desk, making sure to leave room for the raceways. I then planned out how many raceways I would need to fit across my entire desk, and cut one of them so I could essentially make one solid channel. One of the highlights of this kit is the adhesive backing, making installation a breeze. And since it's basically just holding the cables and nothing heavy, the adhesive is plenty strong with no screws needed. As with many of the products I highlight, this kit doesn't solve all my cable problems for my setup. So I also used some Solwit self-adhesive organizers to lock the cables coming off the back of the desk. Once secured through the clips, the cables were routed into the channel. One of the biggest advantages of using a raceway is that you can have the cables enter at any point, which keeps things extra tight and super clean. Something to really pay attention to when you purchase a raceway is that the inside dimensions are going to be big enough for your cables. At about 1.5 inches wide and 1 inch tall, the Geek kit isn't going to fit a ton of cables, but it was enough for my setup. The Geek one-cord channel is a very different style of cable management. It can either stand alone for different types of cable routing or can work in connection with the previous styles of products. I first started using cable channels when I needed to hide cords coming down the wall from my mounted TV. Some situations just don't allow you to hide cords in the wall or ceiling, and this product steps in to improve the organization and look of these cords. In the Geek product description, they literally call this the one-cord channel cable concealer, but immediately after they say it's a system for maximum 2 small wires. I would assume you're only fitting one cable into these channels unless it's 2 very thin cables or wires. In the studio, I found 2 great uses for these Geek cable channels. One project was hiding our Govee cables on the wall. While it's no easy task, I was able to paint the channels to match our wall color. I attached several straight and angled pieces to route the cords down to the desk. The second project was routing a Govee light cable at a different desk setup. While I was able to make the product work in both situations, it had some major drawbacks which made me question the high reviews. First of all, I never want to apply the double stick tape myself, and neither should you. This was an awful process, and I would be happy to pay a little extra to have this pre-installed. The second problem is the channels are just too short, so you need to use small covers to make one continuous raceway. Amazon doesn't want to ship you a 5-foot long piece of plastic. But don't worry, I have the solution. Home Depot will happily sell you that 5-foot piece of plastic, and better yet, it already has the adhesive on it. I would skip this Geek product and buy a longer channel from your local hardware store and then cut it to size. The Anker Magnetic cable holders are the first product on this list that are meant for the top of your desk. I have previously tested out Anker's similar product that uses Velcro ties attached to your cables rather than the clips. These worked fine, but I just don't love Velcro, so I kept looking for a different option. This set comes with 2 parts, the desktop cord keeper and the 5 cable holders. I purchased the blue option, but there are other colors that come in and out of stock. On the Amazon page, they claim that the cable holder will stick to any surface, and after some testing, I found it does stick quite well. They claim you can remove, clean, and re-stick the cable manager up to 10 times. I recommend sticking it to a flat, horizontal surface, and always make sure to clean that surface first. The best use for this is to put the magnetic clips on cables you want to keep in sight or arm's reach, but won't always be plugged in, making this a great product for not only your desk, but also a nightstand or any area that you use to charge your devices. I feel the price is a little high for these, but it does do the job quite well. I tested a wide range of cables, and there definitely is a limit to what they can hold. But the typical charging cables, USB, or headphone cords will fit with no issue. An alternative product I really like for securing a single cable is the Sinjamoru cable clips. This is a very elegant solution, and I prefer how the clips are secured onto the cable compared to the Anker alternative.